Hey guys, what's up? Caleb Downing with SDI, and real quick today, let's talk about why suppressors may not do what you think that they do. Let's get into it. All right, so suppressors. We're talking about, well, we just said suppressors. Specifically, this stems from a comment that I got on one of my channel videos where somebody was talking about they were having just not a very good time with their Spectre 9 from Silencer Co. Right? I had made a review about it. They watched the review, they got the suppressor, they went out and tried it, and they were dismally disappointed. I think that's how you could say it. Not very happy with it at all. They said it was loud, it was not as good as their 22 suppressed, it was just not what they expected. And I think, honestly, this comes from a place of ignorance. Now, I'm not trying to call this person out, that's why I'm not mentioning their name, but I think a lot of people out there are ignorant of how this works, right? And ignorance is just a lack of knowledge. That's all it is. It's not derogatory. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. Ignorance is just lack of knowledge. And you don't know what you don't know unless somebody tells you, which is why I'm trying to make this video for you guys, because hopefully this can alleviate some frustration if you go out and spend $1,000 after taxes and everything else, or even more, and you get this new cool accessory for your firearms and you use it and it just doesn't do what you thought it was gonna do. So real quick, let's talk about why suppressors may not do exactly what you think it does, all right? So the whole key here is a lot of people, their knowledge of firearms comes from what they see on movies and on TV and just media and all that stuff. It doesn't come from personal experience or secondhand experience from somebody else who has used it. It comes from media. And in Hollywood style stuff, they're not, as far as I'm even understanding, they're not even using real firearms half the time. When they do gunshot noises, I don't even think half the time they're even using blanks. They're obviously not using real firearm sound. It's digitalized. It's not the same thing, right? Perfect example, No Country for Old Men. Great, interesting movie, but that shotgun suppressor that guy uses, there is no firearm on the planet that I'm aware of that makes that kind of sound. That kind of sound doesn't even come out of a firearm. That zippity kind of laser thing, that doesn't happen in the firearms world. You talk about looking at reviews and things like what I do, the noise that you're getting, the sound that you're getting is coming through my microphone, through the digitalized editing software that I use, and then back through your, whether it be headphones or your computer, so the sound is not going to be the same. So even if it sounds great on the computer from a person who's doing a video, it's not going to sound the same as if you are in person, all right? So have that in the back of your mind whenever you're deciding what can you want and what you expect the can to do. That's mainly what we're talking about. Something else that he noted, and I kind of already said it earlier, is he was comparing the Spectre to a 9mm K can to a 22 can. A 22 can is going to sound really good most of the time. It's kind of hard to mess up a 22 can. 22 long rifles are so small, right? There is hardly any powder in that cartridge. There's not a whole lot. There's enough to get that bullet going, and it doesn't need a whole lot. And it's, to be honest, if you have a rifle, a 22 rifle, and you fire that without ears on, sometimes it's not even unpleasant to shoot that way. Depends on the barrel length. You shouldn't do it. It's not good for you. Pistols, they're going to be loud, but it's that close. There's that little bit of pressure, that little bit of sound that comes out of a 22 rifle that if you add a suppressor to it, it can actually get very, very quiet. That's the closest thing that you're going to get really to quote unquote Hollywood quiet. So if he has a well tuned up 22 system with 22 hosts and a 22 suppressor, that's going to sound really, really good. And depending on legality stuff and all that stuff, we're not taking that into account, but you could literally fire these things in your backyard and your neighbor's not really gonna distinguish a firearm going off. If it's a good 22 and a good 22 host and stuff, it's gonna be quiet and it's gonna be nice. You cannot do the same thing and do not expect to do the same thing with a 9mm suppressor. Now, something on this note, he was specifically talking about the Spectre 9, which is a great little 9mm can. It's not labeled a K can, and in the industry suppressor stuff, K just means short. It's just a shorter suppressor. It's not labeled a K can, but this is small. It's small in diameter. It's not long, and it weighs hardly anything. Extremely lightweight. On the opposite side of things, you have a dead air Wolfman. This is a large suppressor. Obviously larger in diameter, obviously larger in length. There is a lot more internal volume in here for those gases to expand and cool down. In the report of this suppressor is noticeably quieter than the report of a small K-can. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you're in the market buying a suppressor, try to understand what exactly the suppressor is going to do for you. If you want something quieter, you're going to need a larger can that is made to be quieter. The Spectre is made to be quiet, yes, not the quietest. It's made to be quiet, but it's also made to be very lightweight, to go on the end of a pistol, not add a whole lot of length, not add a whole lot of width, so you can still use your iron sights and all that stuff. It's a niche design. Every single suppressor is a niche design. It's made to function and work in a specific range. Like I said, the Spectre is great for pistols because it's going to knock down the decibels a little bit, a decent amount, I think, and it's not going to add a lot of weight and a lot of length to your overall setup. Whereas something like the Wolfman would be great for a pistol caliber carbine, where you really can squeeze out that extra suppression, and you're not as worried about that extra length. You really are optimizing the suppression, right? Something else to note on both of these cans, these are semi-traditional cans where they have baffles and it's a welded closed design. On some suppressors, I don't have one out right now, but they are high flow. They're made to have those gases that get trapped up in here. They're made to have them eject forward out of the suppressor a lot quicker. The payoff on that is it's going to be louder. The longer those gases are held inside the suppressor and allowed to cool and slow down, the quieter the suppressor is going to be in general. The trade-off on a sealed can like this, yes, it might be quieter, but when those gases start cooling down and are being held in the suppressor and not allowed to exit the front of the suppressor, the gases are lazy and they're going to start finding the pathway of least resistance. They're going to go back down the bore of your firearm. If it's a gas system like an AR-15, those gases are going to travel back up through the gas tube, right? And so you're going to get more gas back in your face. So there is no one can to rule them all. Not that just doesn't exist. It depends on your applications. And every single suppressor, if it's a good manufacturer, every single suppressor is made to work in a specific field of work. Like I said, the Spectre is a fantastic K-can, small can, to put on a pistol or to take the edge off of like a 300 Blackout or something like that. Whereas a large can like this, like the Wolfman, is made to be much quieter. Even though it's heavier, it's bigger, you can shoot this on a pistol, but you're gonna feel it way out there on the end of the pistol. This would be better on, like I said, a pistol caliber carbine or something like that, where you already have two hands on the firearm. It's easier to hold and you're not worried as much about length. You're worried more about sound over length, whereas the Spectre is length over sound. Hopefully that's gonna educate somebody out there, and hopefully it will save you the hassle and the headache and maybe disappointment of going out thinking you do some research because you watch some videos and then going and buying a suppressor and expecting it to do something outside of its wheelhouse. Don't do that. Figure out what your needs are and then find the suppressor to fill those needs. If that guy had wanted a really, really quiet setup, well, he probably should have got something like the Wolfman. If he wanted something small and easy to run around with, Spectre's great for that, but it's not going to be as quiet. Anyway, guys, I hope you found that not just interesting, but I really hope you found it educational and you learned something from it. I'd love to hear back from you guys if you did. Did you ever buy a suppressor that it didn't fit your needs, and then you come to find out it was made for something else and you were trying to use it outside of its wheelhouse? I'd really love to hear back from you guys, and spreading that information, whether it be in the comments or talking about it to other friends and stuff, is really gonna help other people not make the same mistakes. All right, so Firearms Technology, that's what all this stuff is. That's what we do around here. If you wanna learn more about this kind of stuff, like I said, Firearms Technology, go check us out at sdi.edu, and hopefully you can be educated in this stuff and not make the same mistakes as other people in this whole career path or ventures, whatever you might want to call it. All right, again, Caleb Downing with SDI. Hope you find it interesting and helpful, and hopefully we'll catch you guys in the next video. See you.